Usually, we talk about leveraging AI to 10x your productivity, creativity, and so on. However, in this particular video, I want to address a very different kind of a question. I was conducting an event at Whistling Woods, which is one of the top film schools in the country, and the topic was the impact of AI in filmmaking. I received a phenomenal response from the participants when they learned what are the amazing use cases of AI and how it helps them become better at their art form. But there were a couple of people who were worried about, let's say, what will happen to the art form if AI does the job for them, right? What will happen to the livelihoods? And these are fair questions. There is a concern that is this disruption something that is actually good for the filmmaking fraternity or not? And while I understand and empathize with their concern, I think it's very important for us to acknowledge that humans have been through so many disruptions over the years, and this is not an exception. And the way we choose to respond to disruptions like these, especially the one that's happening right now, decides a lot of our fate. And the clip that follows is a small excerpt from that event. And I would love if you could check this out, get this nuanced idea and argument that I'm trying to put there. And I would love to hear your opinions in the comments below.
I'll take this one. Thank you for the optimism on this. Been a while that I heard an optimistic remark like this. But no, of course, me being me, I will have a little bit of an optimistic bias, and that's why I'm happy for you to take everything I say with a pinch of salt. I think there are some first principles to how the markets work. However much we want to like, and again, that is an outsider, as a non-artist. So forgive me if something does not sound very empathetic in this moment, but I'm trying to place a more honest truth that I'm experiencing and when I'm listening to this. As someone from the tech and entrepreneurship world, where there is a certain kind of culture, and I see this as a dramatic contrast in many ways to the culture that I see within the artist, circles in some ways, which is that there is a certain appreciation and nostalgia about what is art and what art was, and let's preserve it. That was our culture. The reels when I used to cut them, the way we describe it, the black room. Now it's so I'm blinded when I step out. Like it kind of, it's some. I think that's a part of your personal subjective experience, and you're absolutely entitled to the nostalgia and the reminiscing of something that you thought was your defining days. For example, for me, a lot of my defining days were back in IIT as a student and doing this and that. But how much does it help me today to do what I want to accomplish is the question that becomes far more important. So while we would want to preserve that as a memory individually, let's not try to take the burden for the entire generation, number one, right? I think that's very important. Especially for people who are not going to share that same experience, they are extremely eager to see what they can do most with what they have in hand. So that is one part of the perception difference between art and technology. A lot of people around me, their businesses have gone bust. Okay, and when you speak with them, when you see an entrepreneur talk about saying, "Oh, yeah, my first 3 companies failed, man," and then they say in the fourth one, I kind of did not want to repeat it. I disappointed a lot of investors. I tried my best to return it. We had some fights. These are the conversations that we have in the entrepreneurship world as well. The way there is a power imbalance that would be there, let's say, between the artist and the studio or whoever is the person funding it, right? I think here the expectation is that the market must adapt to the artist. Okay, where the artist is the pure soul, and I'm probably intentionally putting it out in more. I know that this is not a nuanced opinion that I'm putting this out here, but there is a certain sense of purity to art. And it's great because I wish artists to remain romantic about their art, and it's important for the art to flourish. At the same time, there is a certain pragmatism maybe the world of art can borrow from the world of business that, hey, the market's changed and we moved on. Or the markets changed, we did not, we got left behind, and I learned a lesson. I'm choosing to do something different this time. So this is a question of narrative and how we look at it. Every people across every industry are exploited, number one. People across every industry have to go through changes, right? And their changes are not necessarily any less or more painful than the changes that artists have to go through. So sometimes when we romanticize, I think we have to be also empathetic to the non-art scenarios and have a sense of comparison that we share this as humans, not as artists, right? And in some ways, it's our moral responsibility to make sure that we know what adapting looks like for me, right? Looks like for us. And tech world is known for adapting extremely fast. They are known for this. Like, a little people start panting, like I start panting thinking about the changes that are coming right now. And for me, it's exciting. For someone else, it can be not so exciting. I can imagine that. But at least the response to that largely in the world is with optimism. The same optimism, if you were to bring into, let's say, okay, this is amazing, I have a new tool, let's do more creative stuff, let's build more sci-fi. I like that. I personally appreciate this kind of an attitude where we're saying, let's leapfrog into a new era. Let's not go through the incremental Marvel ka jo pura journey tha of whatever 50, 70 years. I don't even know when they had begun. Let's not try to mimic their journey. Let's leapfrog it and say, do I have the opportunity to leapfrog? Yes. It seems like yes. Am I doing my best to leapfrog straight into it? And in this process, probably tilt the power equation back in my favor as an artist. I think when we look at the studios or the people who have the money, we somehow have a need to dictate how they should spend their money. I think it's kind of a little bit of an encroachment on someone's will on their own resources. As a capitalist, this is how I'm thinking of it, right? You may not like their decisions. You don't have to like their decisions. The only way is if, as an artist, we all get rich, and then we don't have to be dictated by a few rich people. The only way to do that is to break this monopoly. And there is no chance we can look at them and then say, you are responsible for my art form. And this is the observation I'm trying to bring in from our multiple conversations. And I thought, since you had asked this question, I thought it would be a good thought to slide in. So yeah, that's my take on it.
That's a very pertinent observation. I think we're not the first industry to experience disruption. It's happening all around us. In our lifetimes, we've seen it time and time again. It's going to continue to happen. So actually, I think that's the main point. But on that point about who's going to fund it, that's what I was making, the point I was making earlier about fiduciary responsibility for other people's capital and all of that, which is there. However, there is another solution which will emerge, and it's already emerging, right? You already have P2P, right? So in terms of, and blockchain, etc., other technologies, AI will come in and do all of that. And there are already different platforms that are experimenting with that, where you could say, okay, I like Pooja's content. I don't care if Netflix and Amazon are not supporting it. I and my 1,000 other friends who like it are going to pay for the film. So crowdfunding is already happening, but it's going to get more streamlined without an intermediary, etc., etc. So that's also there. So there are all kinds of pros and cons about all of this.
If you want to stay on top of the latest AI news and tools, make sure to subscribe me now and press the bell icon.